Greetings, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov. After the sabotage of the Hydrochannel supplying most of the Republic of Kosovo in Adok, the situation in the relations between Kosovo and neighboring Serbia continues to deteriorate literally by the hour. Kosovo Prime Minister Albin Kurti accused Serbia of involvement in the sabotage of the canal and noted that such a diversion, as well as what is happening in Pristina, was immediately characterized as a terrorist act, could only be carried out with the involvement of specialists. What happened recently in Kosovo was significantly likened in the Republic's Security Council to what Russia is doing to Ukrainian infrastructure. I remind you that Moscow is similarly destroying the access of the Ukrainian population to electricity and water, and drawing a direct parallel between Russia's actions on the territory of Ukraine and Serbia's actions towards Kosovo. However, the matter did not end with accusations, which Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić immediately rejected. It has become evident that the Serbian army and Kosovo special forces are advancing towards the state border between the two countries, which in Belgrade continues to be regarded as the administrative border between the Republic of Czech, Serbia, and the former autonomy, of Kosovo. There are now reports that Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, known for his close ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, has arrived at the Serbian General Staff building to discuss the situation, while Kosovo Prime Minister Albin Kurti stated that shots were fired at the Kosovo Special Forces from Serbia. In addition, NATO troops, which are on the territory of the Republic of Kosovo, are in a state of increased combat readiness. It has indeed already been stated that in the event of real military actions, this contingent will be ready to ensure peace. This means there is a possibility of a confrontation between NATO forces and armed groups ready to change the status quo established by the Declaration of Independence of the Republic of Kosovo and its recognition by the United States and most EU member states. In fact, the mission of the NATO contingent is to maintain stability in Kosovo, since the Serbian dictator Slobodan Milosevic was forced to abandon his idea of expelling nearly 90% of the population of this territory, then a self-proclaimed republic, from their permanent residences. Since that time, especially after Kosovo's independence was recognized in the West, there is a constant threat of a possible new war in the Balkans, a war between Serbia and Kosovo. All negotiation processes initiated by the West, hoping that Serbia and Kosovo would reach a common understanding for the sake of European integration, have so far been unsuccessful. The idea that if Serbs and Kosovars find themselves in a united Europe, the issues of past history and the established border will not be of primary importance, turned out to be a bet on rather romantic expectations, as is often the case in the territory of the former Yugoslavia. The refusal of any territory is a much more serious problem for society than any preferences related to further integration development. Therefore, a moment may possibly indeed come when a serious conflict reignites in the Balkans. And the only thing that can prevent Belgrade from a real intervention in the territory of Kosovo, but of course not for the occupation of the entire republic, but for a military presence in areas populated by a Serbian majority and bordering Serbia, is the fear of conflict with the NATO contingent. For Aleksandar Vučić, as well as for other politicians from his camp, the current few months are a time when one can act more openly and more radically than at any other period. A time when power is changing in the United States, and it seems that Washington will not take any decisive actions during this transfer of power. Moreover, in Belgrade, there may be fears that the new administration of Donald Trump will be much harsher towards Serbian claims and ambitions than the current administration of Joseph Biden, whose political course in the Balkans has been more focused on mediation and smoothing over disagreements. It is obvious that Donald Trump's emergence in the White House signifies a search for much harsher responses to the questions of what stability in the Balkan Peninsula should look like. On the other hand, it is clear that he is a close friend of both Aleksandar Vučić and Donald Trump at the same time. Viktor Orban may lobby for Belgrade's positions before the new administration. It is obvious he is not alone in his possible views on how relations between Serbia and Kosovo should develop. And Vučić may seem to believe that if Belgrade establishes control now, at least over those areas populated by Kosovo Serbs, then in the future both European countries. And the government in Pristina will have to reckon with his policy of fait accompli, especially since Russian President Vladimir Putin has already demonstrated to Aleksandar Vučić that the most important thing is to occupy territory, and then there are no grounds to believe that you can be expelled from this occupied territory by force. Trump's plan to resolve the situation in Ukraine by effectively agreeing to allow the Putin regime to maintain control over those Ukrainian territories where Russian troops are currently located is not only a demonstration of weakness on the part of the United States. It is also a demonstration of what the method for resolving territorial issues should be in the future. This is the opening of that very Pandora's box, which can fundamentally alter international law and ultimately become a political disaster for the United States itself. And it is likely that the future Trump administration will need some time to understand this, which is always necessary for those who live in a world of their own realities. But the politicians in the Balkans have understood this well for a long time, since the last Yugoslav wars. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe to my social media, to the channels on Patreon, buy me a coffee. Yes, Nutella, helping develop resources, uses the sponsorship function in YouTube.